Assalamu alaikum and good day to everyone. We are YEZ Private Limited. Today we are going to talk about the Rana Plaza collapse in Bangladesh and the disaster at Bhopal. Allow me to introduce my company at first. We are a electrical company since 2021. Our mission is to deliver the greatest engineering advice to the residents, and our vision is to transform our emerging nation into a developed nation. Our service, we offer total electrical and data solutions, but not limited to main switchboard distribution, installation and modification, industrial installation, fiber optical installation and testing, and light and power installation. This is our team. We have Mr. Mohammed Yusuf bin Hashem, who is the Chief Executive Officer of YEZ Private Limited. Myself is Estiaq Ahmed, who is the Chief Technology Officer, and along with us we have Mr. Zahin Pasha, who is the Chief Financial Officer. In this presentation, our discussion objectives are the Rana Plaza collapse in Bangladesh and the disaster at Bhopal. We will talk about what went wrong, the ethical issues, and the broken code of ethics in both of the cases. So let's talk about the Rana Plaza collapse in Bangladesh. This is a sample picture of the main incident of the real incident. Okay, so what happened actually? On April 24, 2013, this tragedy happened in Dhaka. Rana Plaza is a 8-story commercial building situated in Dhaka. It consisted of 5 clothing factories, some shops, and a bank. And in this accident, there were more than 1,100 people died, and over 17 days of search, 2,438 people were rescued. So what actually went wrong, and what are the causes for this disaster? The building owner Sohel Rana, who basically illegally constructed the upper floors of the building. As we can see, um, it was permissible in the land to build only 5-story building, but the owner, he actually illegally built two more floors on on top of the building. And the day before collapse, uh, a large cracks appeared in the building, and an engineer who was called to inspect the building determined that this building was unsafe to use. However, the owner, Mr. Sohel Rana, and other authority members, they ordered the workers to return to their job the next morning. There were some power generators on the top floor. So the next morning, when they started the power generators, the building shook, and all of a sudden it fell down to ashes. And then murder charges were brought against Sohel Rana and 38 others responsible for the disaster. 3 other people were charged with helping Rana flee after the collapse. So now we will see a video related to the Rana Plaza collapse, and viewer discretion is advised.
I started the day normally like other days. Immediately I take my camera and get there. I suddenly felt, am I in a war zone? Around 7:30, 2 volunteer workers called me and showed me 2 dead bodies under the rubble. There's no question the contribution of garment industry in Bangladesh in the economy, but it needs more good rules and regulation. I see the brand names all the time. The tags remind me the tags I have seen in Rana Plaza collapse.
So, our problem statement is, who is the main culprit behind the collapse of Rana Plaza? Is it authority or is it the engineers? So, this is our flowchart. We have made a simple flowchart that for the Rana Plaza case, emphasizing potential decisions made during consideration of locating a plant in Bangladesh. So, what should we do if Mr. Sohail Rana wanted to extend two more floors? So, at first we have to see, are safety laws in Bangladesh as strict as US? If yes, we can follow the US safety rules. If no, are local laws adequate for safe operation? If yes, we can follow the safety rules, the local safety rules. If not, we have to extend anyway and assume risk, or we can decide on minimal standards that will ensure local safety. And then we have to think, is this cost effective? If yes, we can extend the floors, and if no, we have to invest elsewhere. However, Mr. Sohail Rana didn't follow any of the laws, and he anyhow decided to extend two more floors. So, what are the ethical issues? The ethical issues for the Rana Plaza disaster are the authorities' negligence and incompetence, the engineers' negligence and incompetence, the failure to meet standard requirements, the public safety is at risk because a lot of people died, and then project manager didn't say anything regarding the illegal construction. And these are some of newspaper cut that was published after the disaster. Here we can see all of the main newspaper published this news, and it was internationally published as well.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Mohammad Yusuf bin Hashim, CEO of YEZ Private Limited. First of all, I would like to thank my colleague Mr. Estiaq Ahmed to discuss about the Rana Plaza collapse. Now I'm going to discuss about the disaster at Bhopal. We're going to talk about when and what happened there and the ethical issues that was broken, the ethical code that was broken during the design of the Bhopal chemical plant. So first, let's have a knowledge about when and what happened. Between 2 December 1984 to 3 December 1984, this tragedy happened. Methyl isocyanate leak from Union Carbide India Limited plant, and more than 3,787 people died, over 16,000 claims. And the non-fatal injuries are more than 500,000, and still it's have an effect on the people. So what went wrong? On December 3, 1984, about 45 tons of dangerous gas escaped from the plant. The gas drifted all over the densely populated neighbors around the plant, killing thousands of people immediately and creating a panic as tens of hundreds of others attempt to flee Bhopal. The final death toll was estimated to be 15,000 to 20,000, but officially it is announced that only 3,787 people died on that incident. Some 500,000 survivors suffered respiratory problems. Still now the babies born are not well. They have neurological problems. Some of them are blind. Some of them cannot walk. And still they have the impact of the disaster. So our problem statement is who is responsible for negligence towards proper maintenance? Is it authority or engineers? So, according our analogy, we think that both engineers and authorities are responsible for this disaster, because if the engineers made a mistake in the design, or he or she didn't design the plant according to standard, the authority should decline the or reject the plan immediately, but they didn't did that, so that's why the disaster happened. There is a we have a flow chart here which is applicable of a simple which is applicable for Bhopal, emphasizing potential discussions made during consideration of locating a plant in India. And we think this is one of the flow they followed during making the building the plant. So first they thought about the safety laws in India. If it was strict as US, they have to build the plant according to the design as in India. But we think that the law that time was not strict as US, so they moved to the local laws. And if they follow the local laws, they would build the plant according to the local laws. But if they didn't, they move further down and they discuss about how to minimize the standard that will ensure local safety, and also the cost effectiveness. If it's cost effectiveness, then they build the plant. I think they followed way down, and they built the plant because it was cost effective, and they didn't follow all the safety rules, both local and international. During this disaster, many ethical issues was broken, and many questions arose for both authorities and engineers. Both of them are responsible for this disaster, and their negligence and incompetence was came out throughout the investigation. Failure is meet. They didn't meet the standard of the plant. They didn't meet the standard law. They didn't think about the public safety, and they put it at risk. Engineers who was responsible for maintenance didn't their responsibility correctly. Here are some newspaper cut from that time. It was published in different newspaper. The disaster was one of the worst disaster and the greatest disaster in Indian subcontinent history. After discussing these two cases, we have came to a discussion, and we think that some of the code of ethics are broken from IEEE and IEM, and those are listed below. For IEEE, the code of ethics, those are broken are to accept responsibility in making engineering decisions consistent with the safety, health, and welfare of the public, and to disclose properly factors that might endanger the public or the environment, to avoid real or perceived conflict of interest whenever responsible, and to disclose them to affected parties when they do exist. And the last one is to avoid injuring others, their property, reputation, or employment by false or malicious action. For IEM code ethics, members shall at all times place their responsibility for the welfare, health, and safety of the community before their responsibility to sectional private interest or to other members. The other one is members shall take all responsible steps to inform themselves, their client and employees, and the community of the society and environmental consequences of the action and projects in which they are involved. So we think these codes were broken during these codes were broken during the design of those plans for both cases, and it can be avoided if authorities and engineers follows the ethical course, and they follow the standard of the design. After the disaster, both tragedy question both Bangladesh and India government, and later many new laws and restrictions was passed through Supreme Court, and individuals responsible for the tragedy lost their professional license and was fined. Some of them was also faced jail for few years. Thank you all for listening our case study.